Great things happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. Great things also happen when Steve Kerr plays the right players, resulting in an actual defensive appearance by the Golden State Warriors. Folks, the Warriors have won back-to-back games for the first time since mid-December. And defense, along with some fantastic performances from star players, resulted in the Warriors having an actual winning streak. Are things turning around? Should we be hopeful? At least for tonight, we're going to be happy. It's good times. I'm going to praise Steve Kerr, folks. That's how good of a mood this game made me. Let's break it all down next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. It's the only place to find this show live. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your best bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Threads at Dog Wild. That's also where you can find the program. It's at Locked On Warriors, folks. Happy Friday night. The weekend is here. This felt like an excruciating long week. I'm relieved that the weekend is around the corner. And I'm also relieved that the Golden State Warriors not just won a game against the Memphis Grizzlies team that can be pesky. The Warriors lost to them a few weeks back, but they played defense. You want to know why they played defense? I'll get to the Jonathan Kuminga stuff in a second. Look, you know I love Jonathan Kuminga. Great things happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. That's my adage. We've been saying it on this show for damn near 3 years. He had another fantastic night. 8 games in a row where he scored 20 or more points. But folks, this team played defense. And the reason why they were successful at it, it wasn't just the effort. I listen to some other programs now and again. I hear some of these other media types giving their, oftentimes inaccurate assessments. And yet again tonight, all I'm hearing is the effort was there, the focus was there. No, Corey Joseph didn't play. That's the first thing. And that's where I got to give kudos to Steve Kerr. I don't know if he wasn't feeling good. I don't know if Steve Kerr opened his eyes, but regardless, Corey Joseph is a sieve. He should not be getting minutes on this Golden State Warriors team unless they find themselves in a situation like the Memphis Grizzlies where you're damn near the minimum of available players. He's small. He's old. His foot speed is average at best. He should not be out there. He is a massive defensive liability. And what we did see tonight was a gentleman named Lester Quinones step up and play. That's the first line of stats I'm going to read to you. Lester Quinones played fantastic basketball. This kid is part of a very bright future for the Golden State Warriors. The transition from now to the next generation, my Lord. It helps me sleep at night thinking about the Warriors 3 years from now. When Jonathan Kuminga, picture, we see how good he is now. Picture what his level of dominance could be 3 years from now, 5 years from now. 5 years from now, Jonathan Kuminga is still going to be younger than Jason Tatum right now. Think about that for a second. But Lester Quinones is going to be a part of this as well. And for whatever reason, Steve Kerr opened his eyes. His stubbornness finally got cast aside. He benched Corey Joseph like he should. And instead, we got Lester Quinones playing 19 minutes, 50% from the field, 50% from beyond the arc, even had a trip to the free throw line and made his free throws. He also grabbed 6 rebounds, considered a defensive stat, finished the game with 10 points and a plus 11 in the plus minus. Kudos to Steve Kerr for playing Lester Quinones. I love this kid. He's the future. He's, and my guess is after the season, he's going to get a guaranteed deal. And again, He's part of the long-term future. Absolutely love it. Bravo, kid. You did phenomenal. And thank you to Steve Kerr for finally making the right decision. We also, by the way, saw some Guy Santos minutes. I think that had much more to do with Dario Saric missing this game tonight. But even Guy looked good out there. I mean, the stats, they're not going to show much. But when we talk about effort, that's a player you can attribute that to. He was hustling out there. He's another part of a very bright future for this Golden State Warriors team. But another reason why the Golden State Warriors defense shined tonight, giving up just 101 points. And on that note, I actually need to look here real fast and see if that was the lowest point total of the season. It might have been, actually. I'm going to look that up while I'm hosting a live show. I think I can multitask and pull that off, but I'll do that in just a second. Another reason why the Warriors played great defense tonight. And again, there's no pleasure from my end in being critical of Klay Thompson. I don't like it. The man's going to have a trophy someday outside of Chase Center, rightfully so. I really, truly hope that trophy is going to include Rocco. It better. Rocco Thompson needs to be a part of that statue. I digress. Klay Thompson tonight had a good game, not a great game. He was feeling under the weather when he played. He finished with just shy of 27 minutes, more specifically 26 minutes and 52 seconds, 6 of 15 from the field, 2 of 9 from beyond the arc, and that's just not good at all. And he started the game even worse. I believe he was 1 for 5 to start the game. Finished the game with 14 points. I heard the broadcast crew say that he did not finish the game because maybe Steve Kerr was resting him. The team does have a back-to-back. They're playing the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow. And side note, for once, in a rare occasion, the NBA schedulers actually do the justifiable, fair thing of having the Warriors on the second half of a back-to-back playing another team who's also on the second half of a back-to-back. I don't know why they don't do this for every back-to-back. That is fair. That is where neither team has an advantage when it comes to rest. So the Hawks play tonight, the Warriors play tonight, and they're both going to be playing tomorrow. So I don't know if Klay Thompson was out of the game at the end for rest reasons because he wasn't feeling well, or maybe more praise should be going to Steve Kerr. Whatever the reasoning was, make no mistake about it. Klay Thompson not being in this game, Klay Thompson playing less than his average minutes. I think he averages close to 30. Again, finished with 26 and change tonight. That's been the key negative for Klay, is his defense. He's a massive liability. He can no longer defend guards. He's too small to defend bigs. He is just out of place no matter who he's defending out there. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. But Steve Kerr kept him out for most of the fourth quarter. In fact, I actually have the fourth quarter stats here, so I can read off how many minutes he played total in that final quarter. Here we go, right here. Klay Thompson played 4 minutes, 20 seconds in the final quarter. And if I'm not mistaken, they were the first 4 minutes, 20 seconds. He didn't finish the quarter. Andrew Wiggins was in that final unit. Brandin Podziemski, who we're going to talk about in just a moment, that kid who's going to the rookie game in All-Star Weekend, he had a magnificent performance tonight. He was just short of a triple-double. And Steve Kerr made a comment about Podziemski being more of a shooting guard or just being a basketball player than a point guard. So anyways, I'm gonna play that sound for you just a second. But the point is, it was Pods in the end of the game. It was not Klay Thompson. And those things combined resulted in the Golden State Warriors having a defensive performance. You have to have a better defense than 22nd in the NBA. That's where the Warriors are right now in terms of points given up per game. My understanding is, I don't have the stat in front of me, but the defensive rating is even worse. So kudos to Steve Kerr for not playing Corey Joseph. Kudos to Steve Kerr for keeping Klay Thompson out of a pivotal moment, because as Greg Popovich infamously said earlier this season,
and if Manu Ginobili can come off the bench, anybody can, and I don't want to hear it.
Damn right. And I really think that, the show that I just did yesterday with Rick Barry, and look, Rick is he has to be diplomatic. So he was avoiding a lot of the questions I was tossing his direction. But he's not shy about Klay Thompson coming off the bench. And I really do think moving forward, that has to be something to be considered here. I don't know why Klay is the exception to out of all players, why he has to get special treatment. He can't come off the bench. But that's a discussion for another day. Look, the Warriors defense showed up tonight. It was huge. I'm going to look at the standings in just a second and share that to see where we are because, folks, there's 37 games remaining in this season. All this talk about a lot of games left. We're in early February. This season is going to be over before we know it. All these games matter. This road trip is huge. They got 4 more games to go, and the road trip ends just the day before the trade deadline of February 8th. So I really think this team is going to be observing this in these next 5 games. Whether or not the extra intensity tonight has something to do with that, whether or not Steve Kerr deciding to no longer go with his favorites, but to go with the actual logical players who are the best players on his team. I don't know if the trade deadline approaching had something to do with that. Whatever it was, we saw defense tonight. We saw good coaching tonight. And, of course, Jonathan Kuminga. I'm going to give him his love on the other side of taking care of some bills here because Kuminga, my Lord, is this kid going to be not just a star, but a superstar? And if the Warriors make some noise later this season, especially in the postseason, he's going to be a huge part of it. I don't think there's even any remaining doubt that he's the second best player on the Golden State Warriors. And you got to love Draymond Green constantly coaching him up. Draymond had a fantastic game as well. We're going to have a lot more to discuss on this program after we give some love first and foremost to our one of 2 sponsors for this evening. And first one up is FanDuel, the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch. That's every night for me, actually. Grabbing your favorite football snacks and placing some super bets. And folks, I know some of you get tired of it fast. It's a Warriors show. It's a basketball show. But our San Francisco 49ers in the same region as the Warriors are in the damn Super Bowl. That's right, Bubba. Even Bubba's getting excited about it. And why not? If you're in a place where FanDuel is legal, why not profit? Why not throw some cash on the game? It's the adrenaline that comes with it. It's awesome. I don't know what to say about that. And FanDuel, every time I go to a place where it is legal, the app is super fun. It's super easy to use. California, get your act together. Let's legalize FanDuel, please. They have so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, 49ers, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, how many points are going to be scored, and so much more. New customers, join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Podcast Network has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Jonathan Kuminga, Maron. 37 minutes, actually, technically 36 minutes, 58 seconds of play tonight. His efficiency, his growth, his progress. He does not repeat mistakes, folks. He likes to get his teammates involved. There was a play, I don't know if it was the 3rd or 4th quarter, where he could have easily attacked the rim and got an easy 2, but instead, Klay Thompson misses a 3. Klay Thompson swings around to a different position on the arc. He goes to the corner. Kuminga finds him because that's one of the many things he does well is pass and look for open teammates. And Klay drains the bucket. And that's what Kuminga does. Never mind the fact that he's an efficient scorer. He was 11 of 15 from the field tonight. 11 of 15. He took 15 shots and only missed 4 of them. He had one three-point attempt. It was perfect. I really don't like hearing still from some fringe folks out there who say that criticizes shooting. He is a fantastic shooter. I know he had a bad start to this season, but that shooting percentage is going up. And I'm telling you, his form is fundamental. His form is beautiful. He shoots the way you should be shooting a basketball. I love the kid, no matter what he's doing. His shooting percentage on the year, by the way, from the 3-point line, I don't know if these stats reflect tonight as well, but it's already up to 32.4%. That's, I mean, 33% from the 3-point line is the Mendoza line. If you hit 33 or above, you're fine. You're not hurting your team. You're helping to a certain extent, but 33% shooting from 3 is the equivalent of 50% from 2. That's how it averages out. So if you're shooting 33 or above, even if that's below the league average, that's not bad. And Jonathan Kuminga, again, I don't know if the stat includes his 1-3 tonight or if it doesn't, but he's up to 32.4% shooting from 3. And that number is going to continue going up. So kudos to Kuminga. He hits his 1 3-point attempt. And of course, the website that I'm looking at these stats crashes on me. But Kuminga, regardless, just to finish up on his numbers real fast, grabbed 6 rebounds tonight. I was talking about his passing a moment ago, had 4 assists on the night. As usual, he leads the team in free throw attempts. That has been something he's been good at, even in the days where he was fighting for minutes, which was not that long ago. 7 free throw attempts. He was 6 out of 7 from the line. That's another stat, by the way, that Kuminga, I think, is grossly improved on, is his free throw shooting really fast. Let me see if I can find that in terms of how Kuminga's doing there. Kuminga's free throw shooting on the season is, here it is. Oh, it's up to 72. That's not bad. That's not bad at all, actually. Not great, but it's not hindering the team. And the fact that he has so many trips to the line is huge. Again, led the team tonight in free throw attempts, 6 rebounds, already mentioned that, 2 steals as well. And in 37 minutes of play, 2 turnovers. Not bad, kid. To finish the game with a team leading 29 points. A plus 15 for in terms of net rating. Second on the team there behind Brandin Podziemski. But Jonathan Kuminga, love you, kid.
You are.
Oops, whoa, my bad. Just an absolute phenomenal job from him. Bravo. What's going on in the chat? Let's see how everyone's doing here. I haven't really had a chance to catch up here. JM, you're right. Klay Thompson's defense has been lackluster at best. Chico, great stat here. Last season, Chico writes, Jonathan Kuminga shot 45% from deep after the new year. He finished last season shooting nearly 38% from deep. That's also good. So yeah, I've never understood the criticism regarding his shot. It's a little unorthodox, but when you look at the form itself, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It just doesn't look as normal as how other players do it. Greg Gordon writes, Jacob Pena, I don't know what happened. Steve Kerr coached how I've been wanting him to coach all season. Jacob Pena writes in the chat, did I call him or something? I don't know. Maybe he's waking up. Maybe he feels the pressure. I have no idea what's going on, but we didn't see Corey Joseph tonight. That is music to my ears. But Greg Gordon, 14 assists and 0 turnovers for Brandin Podziemski. Some people love the assist to turnover stat. I know Steve Kerr raves about that. I've always found that stat to be a little overrated, just in the sense that when you look at some of the all-time greats, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, they don't thrive in that statistic. So I guess for an average-ish player, it is important. You don't want turnovers being high for someone that is not an all-time great, I guess. But yeah, Brandin Podziemski tonight, I'll just read his stats right now real fast because he was simply phenomenal. And there was one play real quick, by the way, before I mention his actual statistics. There was, and I can't remember if it was in the third or fourth quarter, but Podziemski was on a fast break. It was a 2-on-1 break. It was Pods. I don't know who the defender was for the Grizzlies. It wasn't that 5'8" dude. It was, side note, by the way, yes, the Memphis Grizzlies have a player who is 5'8". Is it Jacob Gilliard? I think that's right. And the guy can shoot the 3-point shot very effectively. I think he shoots it at 41%. It's funny seeing NBA players guard a player that small. Kuminga was frustrated at times. I know he fouled him, I believe, on a 3-point shot. They just don't know what to do with a player that small. Sorry to digress there. But Brandin Podziemski, there was one fast break. I don't think it was Gilliard guarding them, but he had an easy opportunity to make the bucket himself. He could have easily driven in there and not had any difficulties scoring on his own. Most players would have done it. But you have to love the selflessness of Brandin Podziemski. You have to love the fact that he absorbs literally every word that comes out of Stephen Curry's mouth, and Steph has taken on a mentorship role with Brandin Podziemski. Considering that Pods is part of the future of this organization, you just have to love this. But on this fast break, instead of going for the easy bucket himself, he sees Kuminga running up and decides, you know what? A Kuminga lob is going to just be better all around than me getting the layup. So he lobs it at Kuminga. Now, the lob wasn't perfect, so we didn't see like a Sports Center level highlight, but that level of selflessness is beautiful. In a team sport where ego drives teams down, where selfishness drags teams down, he does not exhibit any of those tendencies. Bravo, Brandin Podziemski. 34 minutes tonight. He was 5 for 8 from the field. The only part of his game that hasn't come around yet, in my humble opinion, considering he shot nearly 44% from deep in college, is the three-point shot. Brandin Podziemski on the season, right now, I have the stats in front of me, is shooting 38.1% from three. That's not bad. He's not a liability from beyond the arc, but 38.1% is not outstanding either. It's okay. It's good. But for a player like Podziemski, who was drafted largely for two reasons, being a point guard who can rebound, who has size, who has toughness, but also has a shot. Again, he shot nearly 44% from deep at Santa Clara last year. So for that number to be down to 38, that's something that when that comes around, and it will, that's when I think things are really going to open up and go crazy for this Warriors team in the near future. He was 0 for 2 from deep tonight, though. No big deal at all, though. But all in all, reading off the rest of his stats for Podziemski, again, in 34 minutes of play, had 7 rebounds, 14 assists, as was mentioned just a moment ago, 12 points. He was, again, 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double, led the team in net rating with a plus 18. The future is so damn bright. It really is. We're in 2024, 2027 Golden State Warriors. Your point guard from Santa Clara, Brandin Podziemski. Your shooting guard from the University of Arkansas, Moses Moody. Lester Quinones. I don't know where he played. G League Unite, Jonathan Kuminga. From Indiana, Hoosierville, Trace Jackson Davis. And then you got Guy Santos coming off your bench. I'm sure I'm forgetting 1 or 2 other players as well, but the future is so damn bright. Oh, yeah, and Stephen Curry is probably still going to be playing in 2027. It's the Warriors are in an enviable position, folks, for the future. And we'll talk a little bit more about the present as well, because the Warriors are still in contention. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Why don't we go to our other sponsor for this evening? And yes, once again, it has to do with the industry that seems to be fueling sports these days. And that is sports gambling. Only in this case, more specifically, it's not technically sports gambling. It's daily fantasy. Daily fantasy made easy. And it's really fun daily fantasy. I'm talking about PrizePicks, the game where you open up the app. The app is super easy to use. If you live in California, it's legal, so you can play anytime you want. And the premise is very simple. Minimum of 2 players, maximum of 6 players. If you nail a 6-player bet, you could win up to 25 times what you put in. And it's all about betting whether or not a player is going to, say, score more or less than a certain amount. They might grab more or less than a certain amount of boards. It doesn't have to just be basketball. Niners, Chiefs. In fact, I'm going to open it up. Let's see if the app opens this second right here, because I'm curious to know what PrizePicks is setting up for the lines for the Super Bowl. So they got a promo right now, for example, where you could literally bet on Patrick Mahomes to pass for more than half a yard. That's the PrizePicks has these promos all the time. Travis Kelce, 69.5 receiving yards. He's going to grab more or less than that amount. Christian McCaffrey, is he going to run for more or less than 90.5 rushing yards? Brock Purdy, a man who is ridiculously unfairly criticized. Is he going to pass for more or less than 242.5 passing yards? I'm going to bet more than on that stat. That's the point. You can bet on different sports. You can bet on different athletes. It's super fun. And if you follow sports as fanatically as I do, it's super easy. You can win some real money. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
One final segment. Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. For the everydayers, we are back at this tomorrow. I think I'm going to have Ryan Leong join me as well, a sports reporter. He's at all the Warriors games. He's fun. It's been a little while since we've had him on the program, so stay tuned for that. The Warriors are playing the Atlanta Hawks. They beat them a few weeks ago, but this is a very different Hawks team for the simple reason that Trae Young is back. And that team is obviously a lot better when Trae Young is playing. I wanted to look, though, real fast at the schedule. And just for the Warriors season so far, they've now played, 45 games on the year? They now boast a record of 21-24. So, yes, 45 games on the season. And what I'm trying to determine here is if that 101 that they gave up today is a season low. And by low, I mean high. And let's see here. I don't see anything lower than it's magic. Way back on November 1st, the 5th game of the season, they also gave up 101 points to the Sacramento Kings. And in the 3rd game of the season, the Golden State Warriors gave up just 95 points to the Houston Rockets. So tonight's defensive output resulted in a tie for the 2nd lowest points given up on the season. God damn, this was an awesome game tonight. Is it really that hard to make me happy? Just play the right players, play some defense, and you'll win the game. Now, the trade deadline is, again, John Holmes, you're absolutely right. Kuminga is starting to say, get out of the way, give me the damn ball. Remember how many people mocked him, by the way, a month ago when he was upset about the minutes? That Nuggets game was the infamous game where he sat out the entire 4th quarter and half the 3rd quarter, and he was getting ridiculed. I heard one person say he had irrational confidence, saying that he feels unstoppable. Is anyone criticizing him now? I don't think so. Yes, Nick Fensky, my friend. Man, you do show a lot of love on social media. Thank you, sir. Nick Fensky, also an actor, writes, great seeing Mully back on NBC Sports Bay Area Warriors pregame and postgame. You're absolutely correct. I respect Mully tremendously. He will come on the show at some point. He was a guest of the Rick Barry show. He is such a good dude. Really just an awesome human being. And Cade, great to see you as well. Now, Cade Jackson in the chat is a huge Andrew Wiggins fan. Andrew Wiggins tonight did not do great, but again, I'm going to keep things positive for the evening. Here's my thing with Andrew Wiggins. I'm cool with the Warriors keeping him. I'm cool with him being a long-term part of this thing, at least for this season. I did find out some things about him today, by the way, that I might get into in future shows. I actually might have figured out in a lunch meeting today with a very prominent member, longtime member of the media here in the San Francisco Bay Area, who's covered all the sports for 30-something years. I might have found out what's going on with Wiggins, and it was really disturbing. I'm going to save that for a future show, but because we're keeping things positive tonight, Wiggins did not have a positive offensive output. 9 points, He was 3 for 8 from the field. 1 for 2 from deep. That's 50%. That's a positive. Had 2 rebounds. That's not good. But if Steve Kerr does not insist on giving Wiggins and Clay substantial minutes, they can survive. I really believe that. I like if Wiggins ends up supplanting Clay, for example, in late game minutes where Wiggins is handling the defense as opposed to Clay, I think they can survive. I really do. I believe that. G. Thank you. Yes, thank you for the love as well. Absolutely right back at you. So we'll see what happens. With Andrew Wiggins. I'm gonna save what I learned on a future show. It was really disappointing. I almost have to like set up an entire 30 minutes to reveal what I learned. It's not cool. But again, if him and Clay are not out there dominating the wing, and we still have to see what happens when Moses Moody comes back, which should be any day now. But he did good defensively. He didn't hurt the team. He was a +9 in the net rating. So there you go. JM, I promise you, look, we're up against the clock here. I'll save it for a future show. And yeah, by the way, Adrian Gutierrez, I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, Lester Quinones can shoot the damn ball. He had a phenomenal game. I started the show giving him love. This is just all in all a fantastic game. Really exciting. Koff P writes, give us a hint. Substances. That's your hint. Totes of Goats writes, Moody needs to hurry up. What's wrong with him? I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no reason to rush, especially an injury like that. You don't want him to come back too soon. But John Holmes writes, Kuminga is showing me they give me the max contract. Yeah, there's been some discussions about that. Just so you know, the Warriors don't have to give him the extension this offseason. In all likelihood, they probably won't. I think they're going to save that discussion for after the 4th year of his deal. Now, the way this will work is he's already locked in for year 4, right? This is Kuminga's 3rd year. He's going to get he's going to make a little bit more money next year. I think $1 million and change more than he made this year as part of the rookie scale. And the Warriors can also keep him for year 5. And here's the best part. If they don't give him an extension after year 5, Kuminga is going to be a restricted free agent. So no matter what, he's not going anywhere. All right. That's the good news. Now, you've seen teams give these big contracts to players well beforehand. They might do that with Kuminga. We'll see what happens, but he's not going anywhere. I promise you that. And KJ Aston saying JK is going to get the bag. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. I just don't know when. Anyways, great night. Thank you, Golden State Warriors, for starting things off on this weekend off on a beautiful note. I just can't get over the fact that they played the right guys. Lester Quinones, bravo. Steve Kerr, bravo. Jonathan Kuminga, bravo. Stephen Curry, real fast. It was just like a ho-hum night for him, wouldn't you say? I mean, it wasn't a bad night. I haven't had a chance to say this. We'll end the show on this note because the news came down literally right after yesterday's show ended with Rick Barry. Congratulations for the All-Star selection, number 10 for Stephen Curry, the first one of his career where it was a coach's selection. He wasn't nominated just by the fans, media, and players. But 10 All-Star games, that ties a franchise record. It sets or it expands on a Golden State record. I forgot the name of the other player who also has a 10 for the franchise, but this was like back in the Philly days. I forgot that guy's name. If someone in the chat drops it in there in the next minute, I'll read his name off. But kudos to Stephen Curry for making his 10th All-Star game. I know some Sacramento Kings fans are a little upset about the fact that none of their players got in. My message to them is, welcome to being a Golden State Warriors fan my entire life until Stephen Curry got here. The Warriors, I guess Chris Mullin made some All-Star teams, but outside of Mully, Baron Davis got robbed. He never got in, even though he should have gotten in during those We Believe years. And look, the ultimate thing with the All-Star game is this is not the MVP. When you're talking about most valuable player, even all NBA team players, yeah, win-loss matters, okay? Like your impact in terms of how your team is doing matters. But for an All-Star game, you want stars. And it's not like Stephen Curry's putting up bad numbers. Tonight, it was a ho-hum night. 20 points on the evening, was 6 of 16 from the field, but he was 4 for 9 from deep. And I love that vindictive 3 he made when the scorers just took it away for some reason. I don't know if you folks paid attention to that near the end. They took away a 3-pointer because they claimed his foot was on the line. So what does he do? Comes right out and drains another one, and he finishes with 20 points on the evening. So congrats to Stephen Curry for the All-Star game. Otherwise, we'll be back at this tomorrow night. Thanks for joining the party. Good showing. Dubs play defense. That's all we need. That's all we need, folks. Have a great Friday night. Bye-bye.